Alright, today I'm reviewing the Ibanez RG5320 Cosmic Shadow Prestige. This is one of my favorite guitars, and it is also the second Prestige I've ever gotten, with this RG655 being my first. I have talked about this guitar before, so this is an update on it. Just after owning it for a while, I wanted to talk about it, let you guys know why I don't use it as much on the channel, in music in general, etc. It's an amazing guitar, so let's talk about it. But before I jump in, I just got to say I'm not sponsored by Ibanez or any of the brands shown. So first, let's do just a sound demo so you can hear what it sounds like. And so there you have it, that's what it sounds like. This, as you can see, still has the stock Fusion edges in it. And the Fusion Edge, it's an interesting pickup. It gets kind of a lot of hate that's unwarranted on the internet. I have to say, it gets the job done. It sounded just fine in the tone examples I just played. Let me know what you think though, if you thought it sounded good. So I do get good results with this whenever I do use it in mixes on songs. I've liked how it sounded in the past, and I still do. But these pickups, how they sound, it's interesting. It makes me second guess using this guitar. And just because I think about guitars, pickups, things like that, they work perfectly fine. I've noticed though that when I'm playing this guitar, it just feels like the lower string isn't as powerful as the other strings. And when I had that 7-string RGD, those had the Fusion Edge of stock too, and I noticed the low 7th string, it was the same kind of phenomenon but more. And it sounded kind of a bit mushy to my ears. Maybe it was just my EQ settings. But with this guitar, I kind of get that feeling, but whenever I listen to recordings back of it in mixes and stuff, it sounds just fine. So maybe I'm just going crazy. And so of course, one solution would be to change the pickups. But then that opens up a whole other can of worms. What would I change it to? Would it be worth the time to do it? Would I put in DiMarzios in here? You know, it'd be the classic kind of Ibanez with DiMarzio combination. I do have some Tone Zone Air Nortons laying around. I could just throw those in there. I could purchase a new set. You know, a lot of people online have been talking about the Steve Special. There's always bare knuckle pickups. I think someone mentioned lace sensors. That's pretty interesting. Seymour Duncans, Fishmans, EMGs, all the good stuff. And I love reading about those and thinking about putting them in here, how it would change things. So I love reading your guys' comments. And of course, if you want to continue the discussion, you can come join the Discord. We have a lot of fun talking about guitar stuff there. But I'm wondering, is it worth it? Because I don't hate these pickups. They do get the job done. Would it be worth the effort going through changing these just to have a bit of a feel difference? Maybe not so much of a sound difference. Of course, whenever I want to have a radically different sound, I change the settings on the plugin I'm using. That's still a question I think about. And with the sound being as fine as it is, to me personally, it's not really worth the trouble of going through that just yet, I don't think. Maybe in a month or two, we'll see. But it's also because whenever I pick up this guitar and play it and use it, I am always thinking about that. So that's why I don't play it as much as maybe other guitars on the channel. But that being said, just to summarize the sound, the cleans are adequate. The rhythm sounds I'm getting, they're also pretty good. They work. The leads are alright too. I don't always pick up this guitar for leads, but whenever I do, it's fun to play. I feel like there's maybe something subtle missing from the leads. They don't really jump out at me or excite me. Alright, so moving on. Playability of this guitar. It's excellent. It's so much fun to play. I remember getting this guitar and feeling the neck for the first time, and this Prestige neck is a little different than my RG655. That one has a little thinner of a neck, this one's a little thicker. And at first I was thinking, uh-oh, what have I done? But then I just played it to test it out for a bit, and it was 3 hours later, so it's a pretty good neck. The body is Mahogany. It has the low pro bridge, so that's very nice against the hand, very playable. And the combination of the Mahogany and the trim, all the trim parts, the sustain block, the springs, all that, it's not too heavy. It's not a light guitar by any means, but it doesn't feel awful. And then talking about the bridge a bit more, it's the low pro. It's out of the way. The saddles feel excellent to palm mute. Of course, when you're trying to play your scale runs or whatever, it's out of the way. It flutters fantastically when I do have it unblocked. I currently have the bridge blocked with just some guitar picks taped together, but half the time I do take those out and I put the trem arm back in. Now, I'm not really a whammy bar kind of tricks guy. Usually I'm either doing fluttering or just adding some subtle vibrato, things like that. And the bridge has been pretty stable, and when it is time to tune, the fine tuners are nice and smooth, no problems there. And of course I mentioned the neck. It is, I feel, a little thicker than the J Custom I have. It's thicker than the RG655 I talked about, and like the 80s, the 90s Ibanez, it is a bit thicker than that. But it's very comfortable. That with the stainless steel frets and the Ebony fretboard, it gives a real smooth playing experience. And of course the neck has the volute on top. Here you go, you can see, it's a nice touch. So this continues to be one of my top playing guitars. Of course, something like a J Custom would technically play better. I feel mine plays better, but just slightly. And given the price difference, this is the clear winner many times. And I feel with this one in particular too, just something about it makes it play better than my other Prestiges around this price point with similar features. And you coupled that with, as I mentioned, the neck is slightly thicker than that other guitar. And even though over the years my technique has improved, I still favor playing this one or Prestige necks like this. It's just that much more comfortable for longer sessions. I'm trying to record music, finishing up a bunch of projects. It's nice. So I'm not hating on either this or the J Custom or guitars with thinner necks. Hopefully this is useful information for you. Either way, you are getting that made in Japan quality that you would expect from a Prestige. I have had issues in the past with other Prestiges, mainly around the wiring. The wiring gets crazy, some pickups cut out, things like that. I've had neck alignment issues too, not with this guitar. This guitar's been perfect. But if you are shopping for one of these, make sure you can see how close the high E string is to the edge of the fretboard. The only thing I've really had to do outside of the first setup of this guitar was just to retighten these bolts, the neck bolts, a few years ago. No big deal. You should always periodically check these anyway. So a guitar that feels similar is one like this, the Ibanez RG5320. It has the stainless steel frets, the ebony fretboard, and the neck profile feels pretty much the same. Only difference is, of course, it's a fixed bridge, and of course it has the Fishmans. But something like this, it does feel similar. So as long as you find a guitar where the high E string isn't too close to the edge of the fretboard, no wiring issues or anything, the playing experience is fairly consistent across the models. And then more on talking about the neck profile, I mentioned the J Custom neck profile is different. But what about the Axe Design Lab guitars? I don't have an Axe Design Lab RG or anything like that, but I do have this RGA. I think it's classified as such, but it does say Prestige on the headstock. And so I noticed the neck profile is pretty similar, almost the same as the RG5320. Naturally, this doesn't have the stainless steel frets and all that. It's an RGA, so different body, etc. But the same bridge. And the bridges felt pretty much the same too. No issues with this, no special complaints. In playing this guitar, I find it's very stable. I know I have a bunch of guitars with the Evertune bridge, but I don't have to tune up this guitar that often. The intonation's pretty good. The neck doesn't shift or anything. And it's interesting because I do have some guitars with roasted maple necks, and every once in a while I have to set them up again. Like I've got this Lorada right here, the Abasi Concepts Lorada Master Series 8. It's in my channel profile picture, but it has the roasted maple neck. And I've had to set it up, I guess, more times than I thought I'd have to. At least once a year, if not twice. But with this guitar, I only have to set it up like every few years or so. I think I've only set this up 3 times. So you could argue that goes with the playability. If the action, the neck bow, stuff like that stays the way you set it. But now let's talk about the playing feel. This guitar has felt better and better as time goes on. The neck feels played in. The body is that classic superstrat shape, no surprises here. You've got the kind of flat top with the forearm carve away. Double cutaways are super easy to get into to get to that 24th fret. And the balance is good. It's not neck heavy, it's not body heavy. It doesn't feel like adding anything in the headstock or in the control cavity would upset that balance. So if you want to switch these out for EMGs or something, it would be okay. If you want to add locking tuners to the headstock, that would be okay. Comment down below if you like locking tuners. And of course the output jack is just that barrel jack down here. It's in the perfect place, so you can play it sitting in the classic style like this, or the standard style. You could play standing up. You could wrap the cable around the strap button. I guess the only thing about the body, the feel when you're playing, is if you have it lower down, then your forearm won't be on the forearm carve here. But typically I think this guitar encourages thumb behind the neck playing style, so through that it probably encourages you to have your guitar a little higher up. I haven't really had too much of an issue. My forearm lands like about right here. It doesn't feel uncomfortable. The neck plays perfectly. The binding feels good. There were no sharp edges on it or anything. It's played in nicely, but it hasn't worn away too much, if at all. And the stainless steel frets, of course, they feel slick and fast. You probably know by now how stainless steel feels versus the typical nickel silver. I'm fine with either, but I do kind of prefer the stainless steel more. I like how smooth it is, and the durability gives good peace of mind. But if the stainless steel isn't your cup of tea, that's fine. These are tools to make music, and if the right tool for you has different fret wire on it, that's perfectly okay. And so along with that, when you're digging in to do bends and stuff, of course the Ebony fretboard feels nice and smooth, no cracks or anything. I condition it about twice a year, no issues there. But as I've mentioned over the years, my technique has improved. And as it has, the neck feels better than ever. I'd say it's not quite like a flat D shape. It's not quite a thin C shape. It's something in between. I typically don't like flat D necks. I like thin C. But something about this just feels perfect. Of course, as I mentioned, the low pro bridge feels fantastic. Just one note on the feel of the bridge, the low pro, the saddles, you can see they angle up a bit. So if that's a huge deal to you and your technique, that's something to keep in mind. But overall, this guitar feels like a winner every time. I did play an S470 back in the day, back when I was doing the band live show stuff. And so switching from an Ibanez S to an Ibanez RG when I got the 655, that was a bit of a shock, just because the S series is so light and it has the arch, like the arch top on the top and the back. Obviously this doesn't have that. But if you're used to the superstrat kind of body like this, the flat top and all that, then this feels like home. And once I got used to the RG655 in this case, picking up this guitar later on, it felt natural. So if you're wondering if there's any like quirks or anything about the body, how it feels to play, there's no surprises. This feels like a mahogany bodied superstrat. All right, so overall, what are my overall thoughts on this guitar? It's interesting because while I don't play it all the time, it is one of my favorite guitars. It feels like a winner every time I pick it up. I'll go ahead and use a different guitar, like maybe I'm using an Evertune equipped guitar, one of my Solars, for some rhythm stuff. And maybe I'll pick up the RGA or the 5121 just to do some leads. But I always wonder, how would it feel playing on this guitar? Then I pick up this guitar and it feels amazing, and I always get distracted and I just start noodling and things like that. Playing random things. It turns into an extended practice session. I lose a few hours because of that every project. But I always put the guitar back down and pick up something else. And that is just because I overthink the pickups. As you've heard, as I've stated, they sound just fine. They definitely don't deserve all the hate they get. But I always think about, well, what if I used active pickups like Fishman's? Should I pick up a guitar with the classic tone zone? And then I start thinking about, well, I could use my RG550 Genesis, because those stock pickups are decent too. And that's a fun guitar to play. And I get so distracted. And maybe it's just because I think about guitars a lot. Obviously, I like talking about guitars. I'm talking about guitars on YouTube right now. So maybe I should just replace the pickup so I stop thinking about it. It is a bit odd too that the pickup covers don't match the hardware. They're lighter than everything else. I would prefer if these were, you know, like a classic black or something. Have the emphasis be on the finish, not have these pickups popping out. Because the finish is beautiful. It's unique across every guitar. I love how they match it on the headstock too. That's a nice touch. But I don't want to be thinking about the pickups. I don't want the pickups popping out just in the visuals. But because the guitar is so fun to play and it sounds decent, changing the pickups isn't a super high priority. And speaking of changing things on this guitar, I'm going to say I am personally a fan of locking tuners. I find it just makes string changes that much more easy. Super nice quality of life thing. And I know a lot of people think because it has a locking nut here, you don't need the locking tuners, but it does help with the string changes. You don't have to do any of the string tying knot things. I tried doing that for a while. It works okay, but nothing beats something just locking down the string in there. One of these days I am going to put locking tuners in here. As I mentioned, this guitar is pretty well balanced, so putting locking tuners on the extra mass isn't going to make it neck heavy at all. And then some final thoughts. It's interesting as this guitar ages. The binding turns more cream. I'm wondering what this silvery kind of finish is going to look like as it ages. Is it going to look good? Am I going to even care? It is a really nice playing guitar. It is a lot of fun. So if it turns green or whatever, I think I'd still keep playing it. Of course, I am going to be keeping this guitar. This was my second Prestige ever. It plays too good to let go. So overall, is this guitar worth it? I would say yes. Just because it doesn't have like high-end pickups, Fishmans, bare knuckle pickups, doesn't have the aftermaths, polymouths, juggernauts, etc. It plays super well. The body is pretty comfortable. No surprises here. The fret accessibility is excellent. It does the 2 humbucker superstrat thing very well. So if this is in your price range, the guitar is in good condition, and you're either willing to do a pickup swap or you're fine with the stock pickups, then I'd say definitely go for it. You're not going to get tired of the finish. And even the back is the natural gloss on the mahogany. It looks beautiful too, in my opinion. So there you have it. These are my thoughts on my RG5320. Did I answer all your questions? Is there anything else you'd like to know about this guitar? What are your thoughts? Be sure to comment down below. And of course, this is YouTube, so I have to say the YouTube things. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, share the video, print out every frame and mail it. Join the Discord, check out the Patreon. If you're looking for something cool to listen to, I've got my music on Spotify and all major streaming services. I do some originals and a lot of video game metal. And as always, peace.